this war, but it's about that first battle as well. If they go down early, if one person gets picked, I think that's the only way Hycris really has a chance here.
Correct, and that has happened, and we've seen clutches between Janus and Chapix able to pick up the pace after Hens getting knocked.
I'm calling it already though. Just looking at the state of Vortex's shields, it's too late. If Elam's needed to happen, it needed to happen now. Is Chapix actually going for this? I mean, he's feeling himself. The bow and arrow close range, but not going to be able to hit that type of shot. Hycris and Vortex are just desperate right now. Only thing, they have 5. They've made so much investment into making this big bridge underground base, and goes back into another house. Chapix follows. Vortex has no idea where he is. They're refarming again.
The big thing that Hycris' trio is holding on to is they did have a top 10 finish with about 7 or 8 elims, so they understand that if they're able to walk away, they'll be able to have a big game themselves.
And look at the trick that Janus, Hen, and Chapix have done at this POI. They basically forced Vortex, Knight, and Hycris to go over to this left side. They used to have so much control. Janus staying back a little bit now has a chance for a big flank to actually corner these guys. They had complete control of the POI. Janus is going up, fighting 2 people by himself. It's Knight and Vortex. Chapix has to peek from down below. 5 builds left on Janus as well. He's going to try to run away, farm what he can as he moves inside a building. Yes, that's where you have the most protection. He's going to play sneaky like. While he attracts all the attention, this makes room for Chapix and Hen on the other side to go all the way up. This is a back and forth, and it looks like they have the reads on Hycris' trio.
It really doesn't matter what weapons are in the inventory here in this engagement. We've seen a gray makeshift shotgun get the job done. So you see that green makeshift normally in anyone else's hands, you'd be like worried, but look at it. It's going to be fine. They're setting up. Shy, break this down for us.
Yeah, right now too, it's not only a war of HP and loadouts, it's a war of resources. While Janus, I believe, was on the backside and used all his mats as a solo, when Hycris, Vortex, and Knight wanted to respond to him, all 3 of them had to use their mats to catch up. So they basically, look how many ramps are invested over here from all 3 players. They're losing this war on resources. Only Janus has basically used his mats right here. Chapix and Hen have been just farming up the whole time. We'll see how that goes. It looks like cerebrally it's going to be Janus' team that's winning right now. At Steamy Stacks, Andretta, Savage, Refsguard, they had their early game fight. Slender got taken out immediately from what I saw over there. It'll be free for those guys to keep moving on. Right now, it just looks like Knight is confused. I'm not sure if he knows exactly where these guys are. Janus was out of builds. Now he's almost up to back to 200-300. It's about these resources. Just keep watching them. They have so many to farm down here. And Knight up top, he can't drop down to farm. As soon as they drop the farm, Janus will hear that. They'll go back up. Their position is so strong right now.
This is a great defensive stance. In the previous engagements, when I looked at the VOD, they have the potential to flank. Hen really went all the way towards Pristine Point, almost, it felt like. He went that way, looped back around, and got some big beams in the back. So this is not an engagement that's going to be over just yet. You already mentioned Retail Row already having issues. We saw as well Weeping Woods, Save It going down in the feed. That's been a battle that's been going back and forth the entire time, with Save It having the upper advantage, but momentum is going to be the big factor going forward.
Yeah, and why is this happening? Why is it different from before? You know, the last game we saw Janus and Chapix go for an immediate fight, and it was scrappy. It's because of the psychology around it. Look at the zone on the left. They have zone at Craggy. They can really draw this out, and they've baited Hycris all day into this fight. They know they're not going anywhere. They know they've basically are living in their heads rent-free, Janus at least, and they're going to go for this fight no matter what to try to win it. They're down 6-1 as well. Because of this is free surge tags for Janus. This fight will happen no matter what. And man, Vortex is getting antsy. They're already shooting shots down below Sancho. It really, right now, it seems like Hen, Chapix, and Janus are inside their heads.
The only time I've seen a disengagement here in the tournament is Hen's trio went to Flopper Island to disengage, to regain a little bit of resources, to regain a little bit of HP, and then they came back and wiped out Knight. The thing that's going to be different here is that Tripper's trio that usually rotates into that little clip area hasn't been here just yet. Now they're rolling in. They're rolling in right now, and they're going to send beams, and we saw Chapix get beamed from that area here, and that could be just enough for Hycris' trio to find that opening to get rid of Hen's trio.
Now, what Sancho's calling for is basically a third party of a different team on this left hill that comes in, and Uguay 74, that's Chapix, by the way, was on high ground. He was in the position of this opposite team, Vortex, the night before. He got beamed hard. I think these guys have learned from that. They're now playing low. There's no chance that third party team can actually shoot them. So they're actually sitting pretty, waiting for Knight to make a move, and they can't. Meanwhile, on other sides of the map, Lazy Lake always active, especially with Bad Sniper Marvin and SC. They've actually moved towards the center of the map off the POI, chasing a fight. Bad Sniper with the big shots on the Dementos. They're still going forward. This one's getting real scrappy too. I mean, Sancho, no one's holding anything back on day 2.
Not at all. And Marvin's trio had their best finish in game 1 of this day here, which is 7 out of the 12. But this is just a messy rotation. This Southern rotation, I call it the struggle rotation, man. The struggle of the South right here that's happened real. Every time we've already seen it in game 7. Now in game 8, you're seeing all the kind of chaos that's happening. Jamside hasn't had a great tournament run because of this. And you already seen Pizza, which is able to be a little bit better because he's able to rotate. But now Pizza is actually late rotating here. As you see, Fast Rookie Art and Pizza on the backside of this engagement down on Gorgeous Gorge.
I've never seen people voluntarily go down to the gorge, let alone 3 teams to fight. So there's definitely something weird going on for their game strategies.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what ends up happening in the EU is they stopped saying, you know what, I'm done doing long-range Storm Surge tags. I want a box fight. It happened last season. They get up in people's faces. The more confidence is happening. It's like, we could beat these guys. I can hear Levin saying it. This is my voice. We could beat these guys, and we could take it to them. And that's what I think what it is. More importantly, I said it in the previous game, Shayo, it comes down to elimination points being 2 points. You get that value out of that. We've already been seeing the 6 points that's been helping out Hens trio kind of bolt them up a little bit. They took over first place against Revsguard's trio. Wow, this is a stalemate. It's kind of
that gorge is looking anything but gorgeous right now with all those teams in there and all the builds. While that happens,
gorge.
4ZR, Nate, and Tayson, they've almost even taken height over Percival. Actually, a misstep. Percival goes down, Tayson misses a ramp, and now he has high ground. That was too easy. And now he's on the chase down. Percival shaking in his boots, getting absolutely beast controlled. This is about to drop him in the box too. He's missing edits. What's going on here? All the way around, he has an infantry rifle. That's not good close range. Has to switch over to the pump and land a big shot, but it's only green. He's gonna escape all the way and make sure he finds his way back to his team. Bloom took big shots. Percival actually down. You're trying to go toe to toe with Tayson, Nate, and 4ZR. I get it. Bloom, Percival, Tomsy. They're also really good at these fights, but this is outclassed matchup right now. These guys are just working this trio, and it's good to go for these mid-game fights, especially when you're behind, to try to shake things up. It's also just so risky. On the same box right now, on the walls, they're just shooting pumps at it, not even swinging their pickaxes, and they get in basically unscathed. Tayson will be able to met-kit up. Everything will look fine. What a fight. Masterclass of a mid-game fight there from 4ZR, Tayson, and Nate.
It looks like Bloomy's luck has run out of that trio. They've been avoiding that engagement down on the West Coast. They were always worried that they'd be taken out. That's what happens with the Sweaty Sands teams. But it looks like Tayson's trio is taking that engagement a little bit further. We've been seeing Bloomy and Tayson's trio all tournament long, been competing for Central Zone and colliding. And right now, Tayson coming up top, who is trying to get a 3rd FNCS championship. Now let's focus in here on Noah Riley. Reasons trio won game 1 of day 2, as well as last season. So we're seeing that they're creatures of habits. And now the changes, you're seeing the changes. They're actually boxed up looking for Storm Surge tags at distance. They're not moving. They're not in the car. They're not hunting. They decided to become more of a, I guess one of those like little spiders that chill in those underground traps, right? They're just waiting for people to walk on by to get some tags.
They're trying to switch things up completely. Meanwhile, Shadow is basically seeing the light absolutely erased almost. Stompy right not gonna get beamed out of the air this time. He's looking good with peppers, but not finding a way to really help out his team. There's fire low ground too. Not really landing any shots on anyone through builds either. The big Elam comes in, the siphon finish, and now he's looking for more. Gonna pick up Shadow all the way up top, get that clutch. Revive, very nice. This is also just a very, very messy fight.
Very messy. The fire actually knocked their teammate. That's what happens when everything gets set ablaze. Wakey's going to go ahead and bring back Eyedrop into the fight here. This is actually another big fight because look at the inventory that Joe, Stompy, and Shadow have. Joe has so much shield, but at the same time, Stompy's trio has 4 peppers. And you know that's going to be a great win condition for Joe, Stompy, and Shadow. That is part of their game plan. They got a victory out by playing for height when the zone went down towards Holly Hedges Meadows, and they're blowing Storm Surge, and that's why they're taking this fight. But they open up that door and get greeted by some shots.
Dangerous for Joe. This man is a walking llama right now. If he gets taken out, like golden tactical shotgun, you're talking about the bigs. He has so many. He has 3 still after using one. Like, you do not want to go down if you're Joe here.
You know this has to kill the deal, right? The feeling like they want to get down into that. They're so anxious. They're so HP thirsty. They want to get down there. Yeah, they want to get into that fight, but they're trying to slow down their ways. They're trying to slow down that temptation to get in there.
Stuff on both ends. People are definitely learning from yesterday. Every time a team went third party into a fight, didn't really come out with much and sometimes lost to teammates. So they're letting everyone just isolate and do their own thing. Like us, they're watching along and having a good time. Hope you guys are too. Endon is here now with Jaku as well. Crazy solo performances from Endon all across the season, and now he's looking to get into this fight close and personal as well. Some teams are still on that classic game plan of invade boxes, look for these aggressive tags, and most of them are also lower on the leaderboard. You were talking about it, Sancho. Elims are a dope way to make up, you know, some of the mistakes from yesterday, but at the same time, going for Elims even in this spot is so risky.
Now we're taking a look at the rest of the board here as a Squeeze is being pressured by Kirachi here, and Angela Stacey, they're nowhere to be found. They've been not having this tournament run that we've all expected them this entire season. Has been just a more like a Hyde, or was it a Jekyll, you know, situation for them. They're just not the same French trio that we saw last season, the previous season before that. And two is Kirachi. They have an opportunity to close out that chapter here and lobby that trio. I'm just flabbergasted, sir. Flabbergasted.
Red Rush Exteriors Mappy coming through the first game, not that consistent, just 2 points in total on the day. They got to look to actually just, you know, make these up. When these center zones, I feel like that's where they struggle the most. It's so hard to stay invisible, be passive, go for beams. They're fighting Flois on the same box right now, but not going to really find much. He's going to build all the way up towards Kaiser. Down a teammate. Meanwhile, now this entire server is just devolving into box fights left and right. Even your former first place trio is fighting your current first place trio. Hengen is Tapix, and two of them are down. These guys are leading the leaderboard over the cumulative 2 days, and their chances of getting points this game are running out. Flames ablaze around Chapix, and he's taking ticks over and over, down to 16 HP. There's nowhere for him to hide. Shots on all sides. Every single bullet you see go by is trouble for him. His builds are still burning. Chapix, be careful. Flick's on the other side, low HP too. He's walking through flames, not even affected. What is this?
Through the fire, and I don't think he's gonna have a 9th place finish. No way. Not this game, considering that you have Indretta here that's trying to take that first place spot. You have Lanouf as well. This is the team that kind of lands at risky reels. And look at that. Storm starts going down, and Thomas HT gets taken out. And Nas is left by himself. And Indretta is now pushing Slicks. And Lanouf is just trying to back up his teammate here. And Anas is in a big shamble situation here. Storm Surge still ticking through, and Savage is going to look to clean that up. Takes it up and cleans it up. Now he's going to push forward towards Chapix, and maybe Storm Surge is turned off. Maybe Chapix could breathe just a moment. Yes, he could breathe for a moment.
Yeah, Nas, Thomas, and Flick, they were the last team that had basically, you know, no surge tags whatsoever, no damage dealt on the map. That lightning was just striking them over and over. It took down Flick first. Thomas went away second, and Nas could still not find any damage and goes down as the last player for the threshold. Aloof 6 and Marine is not going to be here, looking to also go across. And Dreda is just shooting them with stink bows. No, that's actually another trio from the left side. Lanouf's having so much trouble moving in. Savage tries to relieve a little bit of pressure off from him because they're getting shot too. This is so tricky, and Zone is still moving.
Savage's weapon of choice in this tournament has been the stink bow. When I VOD reviewed, they would get into a little bit of the storm surge. They would get like a couple spaces in and turn and just rain down stink bows. He was basically crop dusting the entire lobby, man. It was just stinky. He was getting a lot of 5 HP tags all over the place.
It's quiet now across the map too. Everyone's kind of stopped. That surge gets everyone really active, pushed into boxes. Now they're looking for position to play out the rest of the game. Savage basing up with Indretta and Resguard low ground. I'm not sure what happened last game, but Refs and Savage are basically taken out. Indretta had to clutch. Tapix is still alive somewhere, it seems as. Hasn't gone down, might even have the reboot cards. It's gonna be tough to revive everyone right here. The zone pulls left again, so Savage, Resguard, and Indretta, it's just a pit stop on this road trip. They're not done yet.
What is done is Chapix taking out by the storm. So now first place is out. That's going to be an opportunity for Resguard and Dreda and Savage to move up. Also third place, Flick Anas and Thomas Heishi, we saw in the previous engagement, taken out. Let's take a peek at Zone 4. It's going to be a battle at Risky Reels. And we've already seen some fireworks. We've already seen blockbuster hits already in this tournament run. I'm expecting another summer blockbuster hit here for Game 8.
A Game 2 on day 2. This is very similar to what happened yesterday. Game 2 actually went to the Orchard, and it was this trio that ended up winning the game from low ground. They popped off. Queasy was on height, so maybe Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky might have some experience being high ground this game. But Andretta, Resguard, Savage, this might not be where they drop. In terms of end game, this is their home. They know exactly how to navigate the zone. They're used to the roads, used to the rivers. They take everything to their advantage and make the space. There's a game to win. It has to be theirs. On height, though, it's not Trulix this time just yet. Nate, Tayson, and 4ZR are looking to have some control of the game.
4ZR, Nate, and Tayson, 3 eliminations right now. They're another team that they can move up their leaderboard as well. In 4th place, one of those teams we've talked about, conservative play. Just get into the end game, just trying to get positioning, not taking too aggressive box fights. We all know that Tayson and 4ZR and Nate, they're on the road to redemption. Tayson decided to switch out his teammates. He wanted a more serious trio mates in this back, someone who's going to grind with him. We're seeing the fruits of their labor right now, getting them within striking distance of a championship. Nate, 4ZR, last season, of course, on the road for redemption, didn't really make it into the grand finals. We know that their finals is all about that. We thought they would be there. They weren't there. So this is going to be an opportunity, a chance to kind of turn their fate and let everybody know that they still got it.
Definitely the most improved trio of the entire season. They're still looking for shots. They're not exactly in zone all the way just yet, at least not that half of the base. Gonna be praying and hoping that it pulls their way, but we'll have chances to move no matter what happens. Wakey down below, there's trouble inside a little bit of those lower tier boxes, lower ground bases. People are going down left and right. Exterio's taken out. Alpha having trouble, and then taken out by Noah Riley as well. These guys are popping, but there's so many angles they have to cover.
I'm surprised. Snazy brought back his teammates. Snazy brought back that team. And wasn't he out by himself? Like, weren't they just being pressured by Kirachi?
Yeah, Excuse was a solo. I guess they brought everyone back. Yeah, okay.
Run. Okay, they're not.
Big reboot came through, but no matter, they were coming from the south side. They must be exactly where Noah Riley is too. Look at the zone. This is a huge rotation, and builds are burning at the same time. You cannot cross that ground. Noah Riley will have to go around. And Alex Snazy, yeah, I guess the reboot came through in the Spire or Boney Burst. Yeah, they'll actually end up playing out the full game. That's clutch from X Squeeze. Meanwhile, near the river, this is where patience is tested. Safik and Siberia haven't moved just yet, and they have the longest and toughest rotation with a team beside them.
They've been coming from Coral Castle, and for them to actually finish day 1 in around 15th place is already a feat in itself. They solved the puzzle of Coral Castle. For the longest time in the FNCS, no trio has really found success. They found some success. Just to paint a picture, last season, Kenzel, alongside with Waking Deceptos, finished in 30th place coming out of here. If Safik and Siberia could finish as a duo, that would be a great run, but look already what's happening. Noah, Riley, and Reason and the Deal have become a height team. They stopped buzzsawing the lobby, and now they're flying high in the sky.
You're telling me Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason
I would never heard
over 8 hours after sleeping learned patience? That's insane.
That's a
they really want to win. They want to come back. Remember, Sancho, first and then down to 16th after 6 games. They're trying to climb their way back up. They're 10th place right now on the cumulative leaderboard. They're looking to rise higher and higher. Here is who is in their way: Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky. They're uncomfortable right now. They're itchy. They're not used to being second height. They like being the highest in the lobby, and it looks like they have a little bit of advantage on zone. Just like yesterday in game 2, this team took control of height. They tried to pop off. They could not clinch the game. This time, they'll try to do it once again, but they have an entire Titan to take down. It's not free for them. They have to get through Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason.
How is Reason's trio going to be able to handle this? Trulix does have a pepper here. Are they going to go ahead there, look for the chop? We've seen Trulix's trio get chopped before in a phenomenal way by Vidil's trio themselves. In game 1, they chopped them out, and they were able to take height and the victory royale. So they're clashing again. Just look at this run, Shio.
Oh, Reason! I think he got hit by a bow from Trulex. They're screwing from the backside. There's so many teams moving over. This is huge for Trulex if he goes up. Yep, 173 damage above. It must have been a big shot, but they're still fighting. Queasy all the way up top. Meets over to Trulex. Look at how much this costs, Sancho. No shields in Trulex's inventory. Two of the teammates took 100 damage, and now they have height. A deja vu of day 1. Can they actually end up finishing the game, though?
They need the resources to hold on. Day 1, they couldn't hold on to height at all. They kept losing it here around zone 7. So they have to keep an eye on the backside. Let's see who's second from height. They actually have Andelix and Snazy, but they already lost a trio mate. So I don't know if they're going to take it here. So that focus has to be down on the low ground. Savage and Dreda, Refscard, they have an opportunity to get the victory out. The question is, they're down the soft match. So if they can find an impact refresher, get that frag, get back some builds and hard mats, they can walk away with their game 2 victory out again.
Ooh, what a risky rotate. They go all the way in, no builds whatsoever. Here's the refresh opportunity. Big shots from Savage. It's huge. They do get one body, fully eliminated. The master back in the inventory. Savage, though, has none. Can't build any ramps, can't do anything, can't defend himself. Twos with the shots. He actually dodges them left and right. Savage is rolling, and Refscard finds him. They're both going to be together. Refscard must have the builds. They're in old mats. It's looking good. Payson down in the feed. Savage, Refscard, and Dreda. They're at home right now. This is their zone. They can win this game, but they need materials.
The materials are running low, but at height as well, the materials are running out. And Dreda's trio is in second place. Forziar and Tayson in 4th place. They're making the way, but look, their materials is running low as well. Pressure coming from height, pushes them down to the low ground. It's a very dangerous layer to be on. Forziar with 3 eliminations, 12 HP, knocks Mr. Savage, stops that trio right in their tracks. Forziar on the track for redemption here, is barely alive, and he's gonna have to go to the medkit play and hopefully catch someone else on the backside of the storm.
Does he have it down to 2 HP? And yes, he picks it up. A stop sign on the highway of low ground. Forziar keeps his chances alive in this game. Trulex, Jerky, and Queasy, though, on height. They're still alive, and they're looking real good. They might not have too many materials, but they have a chance to do a lot of pressure down. It's somewhat of a bounce back zone, so they don't need to do too much over here. A chance for a breather. Their Elam's looking good, 2-5 so far. Floki, though, is still on low ground. A very dangerous trio to go head-to-head with in the end game. Hadi alive, sniped down by Lanoof. So many different teams down below that are so good at these high-pressure situations. Trulex, Squeezy, and Jerky have a big task ahead of them, and another misthink that might cost them a lot in the end game.
This is where it gets sketchy for them as they make their way down. Neb's going down. Floki, you already said it. A very nightmarish trio to deal with here. Trulex has 2 floppers, 2 med kits. He's going to be the man that's going to be sitting on the high ground and sending him much pressure. Clement Deceptos are still there. Waze is already going in for the med kit. He's coming in for the backside storm. Waze against Kiriachi, gets knocked, and that's what happens when you do the flopper pay. You get the angles to send the beams on through. Floki, Deceptos, and Clement, they don't see Waze. Clement gets tagged in from the backside. Clement has to play some defense. Clement hold on, and Clement responds with the elimination.
3v3, and this time Queasy can't choke. Trulex looking up high, almost out of materials as well. They have to try to win this game to redeem themselves from the mistakes yesterday. They want to make up the whole leaderboard as well from what we saw before and yesterday. 2 Trulex, Squeezy, Jerky are looking for the drop down. 2 different teams, big shots below. Deceptos down. It's a huge drop. Trulex has the insurance. He has to go below. I think he might be the last one left here. One more flopper, and these guys are still in zone. It's too early, but he has the angles. Trulex gets it all the way in the end game. The same zone from yesterday. They win it out. They're looking glorious today, Sancho.
They have to feel good. I know they probably look at the VODs and see like, yeah, man, we had height this many times. If we just clean up a couple of things, we just hold on, we get a couple, be a little bit more aggressive, get some elims, stomp out the low ground, we could win more games. And they just got their first victory out here in day 2, Shio.
Yeah, but Forziar, so many low ground teams going down to that zone. It's uncharacteristic. That was a very, very tough game. We have to toss it back to the desk to break it down and show us what we missed.
Okay, all right, Queasy, Trulex, Jerky, High Ground Kings. You know, if you ever look high ground, if there's a team up there, it's them. That's it. It's going to be them forever. Boys, fantastic second game on the day. And I like how the casters kind of set this up. They're looking for that redemption arc, right? They're like, yesterday, I don't even care about yesterday. Today, we're going to show up big.
Yeah, and I think like that storyline is so true for indeed reason for deal no Riley as well, right? You got to think winning that first game, and then it looked like it was going to be their game 2 again. Taking height so early in that 5th zone, they've committed so much to it, but again, it ended up being a little bit too much because Queasy, their team is so good at focusing high ground. We've seen this all through yesterday. I'm trying to think if there was a game where they haven't been on height ever in the history of them playing tournaments at this point.
Yeah, literally the whole day of yesterday, it was literally like, how's the weather down there, boys? You know, it was them up above time and time again, but they weren't able to convert it into victory royales a lot of the time, and that was a real issue. You know, we know this is how they play. You look at Queasy and Trulex historically throughout multiple Fortnite seasons, they opt to play high ground. This season, right, Juriki's been a spark for them. You saw Juriki when they were taking out, he took the Germans down, right? No Riley, they'll wipe them out, you know what I'm saying? And from there, it was really great play, and they held out height, and they was able to convert into a win. More of these, and they might sneak into contention, guys. I'm calming down a bit, but it's possible. It's always possible.
Look, Fortnite's taught us, right? Anything is possible. It just depends on how you approach that end game. So let's actually talk about this end game coming out of last game, game number 1, because we saw a little bit of a heel off that was a little bit of a flub.
Yeah, there was a little bit going on here. If you remember game back to 1, Thomas and Nas on high ground, very similar to this last game we watched with Queasy on high ground, setting up the heal potential here with Reason down below on the low ground. Now, one of the things we want to keep an eye out is, look, Thomas HG's just taken a tick to zone right here. If you notice, his HP has gone down to 90 at this point, right? No longer at 100. He has the medkit in his inventory. This means he is able to actually use the medkit to stay alive a little bit longer in the zone. So notice he keeps going forward, but this is where a fatal mistake comes out, right? Next thing you notice, again, after harvesting that, 2 builds remaining only. So this is also why Anas has to drop down, because he has absolutely 0 here. So he uses those 2 builds right here, and notice the positioning. He's at the back rather than being at the front here. Will this allow Reason on low ground not to be able to see him? But the issue is he's too close to the edge of the zone down at the bottom here, which means when he starts popping his medkit, I mean, we all saw how unfortunately it ended up going for him. So now moving down to Reason's perspective on low ground, this is a thing of beauty. This is what we love to see from a fighter like this. He gets an ass dropped into his box and hits a huge shot. But this edit that he's made on the right-hand side here is beautiful, because he has a right-hand peek on Anas, who is on the other side, and Anas can't see him at all. And this manages to pick up a beautiful shot for him. And this, look, 5 HP, and the elimination goes through. And then we said, playing on high ground with the medkit too far to the back with not enough time, and unfortunately he ends up being eliminated. But let's see how that last game also kind of transitioned onto these standings.
Gut wrenching finish there, Reese. Looking at the standings though, still on top of the board, Refsguard and Jetta and Mr. Savage. We got to watch them a bit, and they do look like, you know, they're having a decent day, but nothing yet that is comparable to what they did yesterday. The key thing to note here though is Queasy, Trulex, and Juriki shooting all the way up into second now, and they are closing that gap. Zeke, I hear the laugh, Zeke, but you know it. They are closing that gap. They are looking to try and become FNCS champions at the end of today.
Yeah, and it's looking like it could be not only them in the running, though, because Rescard and Dress Savage, huge game for them. Forzy, Artesian, and Nate, too. Look at the difference between first all the way down till third, and we can't count out Hen, Janice, Chapix, too. Look at how close all of these players are in the top 4 with 4 games remaining. And I must say, this is going to be an exciting 4 games going forward. Any of these teams right now are completely in the running.
This is only game 2. Look, you guys know that I stress. I feel the emotions. Don't do this to me. I mean, I'm down. Like, you know what? Let's keep making this a close competition to the very end. I'm super down. But once again, man, Queasy and his trio, I don't understand why people are just allowing them to be up there. Just stop them from getting high ground. They're going to close out games if you let this happen. But again, there's all these other trios, man. It's literally like there's a feeding frenzy on EU right now, and it's just like whoever finds that window to attack, they're gonna close it out. But okay, I know, Zeke, I know it's game time. We're jumping back into the action. This is game number 3 on the day, aka 9 of this series. Let's get into all the action.
In EU right now, it's all about the win, Sancho, and it looks like Trulex, Queasy, Jerky, they're doing it the best.
You gotta think about it. Aussie Antics on the NAE's broadcast, it says, you know, high ground gets games, low ground wins tournaments. But so far, Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky are flipping that table, putting it on the other side, and they're looking really solid here in day 2. as I mentioned, day one, they had Hyde all the time, and they almost were able to walk away with multiple victory royales. And they most likely decide, you know, we just got to cheer up the defense. We have to make sure the backside is being protected, because that's all the time they have been happening, is they would lose it on the high ground retake coming from a flank with just normal builds. And that's what's so fantastic about this meta, is that you're able to kind of hold on to height. There's no bouncers, there's no shockwaves, there's no caddy launcher to kind of come up in there to take it away from you. So we're seeing what they can do. Now, the question going forward, as we're going to get into the later stages of the game, as you do see Weeping Woods already, the save it battle versus Blaster is still continuing there, is who is going to change up their kind of strategy. And when they change the strategy, and this is where it gets kind of tricky here, Revscar getting knocked in midair, this is where it gets dangerous, because as I mentioned, what ends up happening as the tournament goes on, people change up their strategies and they try to stop you from winning. We saw it in Season 4 when Mongrel's Trio was being all of a sudden got pushed out of Stark Industries. We saw it in Season 5, right? All the teams landing on SETI to slow him down in day one. So the question will be, who is going to slow down Revscar? And it looks like Elocrass and Hottie and Tripper are here to stop and slow down Andretta's Trio.
They're hunting for Revscar too. I don't think Andretta's going to be able to go back and pick him up. He's hiding under a bridge though, so those free mats might be tough to find. For Hottie's Trio, they're actually looking directly under it. They understand how far refs can actually crawl. Meanwhile, another trio goes down on the other side of the map. I'd have to imagine that's either Retail Row or Craggy Cliffs. There's so many big fights going down in Retail between two ex-teammates as well. It's so, I would say, sad to watch, because you want to make sure everyone here is having a good day overall. I believe that's Wolfie's fighting it out, or Slender actually fighting it out with Kiko on that side. But as we look at Craggy, it might be a two-man operation for this trio, although they're working really well to get to end game. There's always this clutch. We saw Savage try to do it in one of the games yesterday. We had Andretta in that last game survive as his trio went down and get all the placement towards the very end and at least one more moving zone. They're gonna have to clutch again as a duo this time, starting off early.
I think the theme of day two, Shayo, is patience. Patience is showing what patience could work out to, being consistent, just trying to work their way in, net a couple points here, 20, 30 points right now. They're averaging 25.88 points here, so they're doing really solid, keeping up the pace. And we have to say, will Noah Riley, as you see on the bottom right of your screen, will that patience hold on? It's going to be tested. Every time they see a box fight, every time they see anyone rotating out in the open, that is going to be like, do we box dive in? Do we go back to our old ways? Because, you know, habits are hard to break. You know what they say? It says it takes 2 weeks to form a habit. Maybe here in the Fortnite world, it takes about 3 games. Maybe that's your new habit for the rest of the way.
It might be. I feel like the habits formed in this game are also centered around emotions. Like when it comes to this trio, they're looking real good so far. Meanwhile, though, Craggy Cliffs, it looks like Hen Janice Chapix actually end up going down starting off this game. It might be an off-spawn scenario. It might have been a third party completely. But, you know, we're talking about emotions. They have to be emotional after that one. They're slowly falling behind these three teams, Jerky, Tayson, and Savage, game after game. They've now gone all the way down to 4th place. Used to be up top near 1st. Yeah, absolutely. Vortex Knight, I don't see Hikers just yet. That might have been the cost of the fight. Are going to be here, surviving for this game, and inhibiting Chapix and Janice for getting any points.
The mental of our defending FNCS champions will be tested. They've had lost only 1 engagement yesterday, and every time they walked out of it, they got 2 victory royales with double-digit eliminations. The other times, they ran into Vidil. Vidil had a vendetta. Last season, Vidil's trio got taken out by Hen's trio in that $100,000 box fight. I will never forget that call. That was an intense situation. And that's what it all came down to last season. We're getting closer and closer to the final game here out of the 12. This is just a halfway point here in day 2. And already, we are already seeing like all the Savage fans are High Chris fans right now, right? All the Hin fans are like the Tripper fans right now. They're all just hoping that the other can like drop spot fights go the opposite way. And wow, this is the FNCS.
Think about the ramifications of that off spawn. Now we have a trio in 30th place who's allowed to end up playing this entire game, right? Usually boxed out by a higher team. In terms of High Chris, Vortex, and Knight being in 30th, being inside an end game, you might not be thinking totally of the comeback. You might be thinking about, you know, taking more risks, going just completely for the win, not doing the most consistent and expected plays. It's going to be dangerous for everyone else. This game might be a lot more trickier to navigate.
If they could break through that threshold, we're talking about thousands of dollars. So it's
That's
worth
true.
them to throw everything at the wall, throw that spaghetti, see if it sticks, because we're talking about a couple commas and zeros every time you move up that leaderboard.
Yeah, but they're going to be working against the grain, right? For people like Kiriachi, like 4-0 we saw right now. You talked about it, Sancho. Patience. They're waiting. They have a game plan, and it's working. For trios like High Chris, like Vortex and Knight, they don't care about patience. This is the first time they get to play a game today, right? They're going to be going through fast. If there's a box fight they're not meant to take, they might just do it for the elims. That might change everything. We have a very dangerous trio playing this game.
And this trio right here, we haven't really shown a lot of love on the broadcast, but it just seems like every FNCS tournament, there's always a trio that, you know, when they do that drone panning shot in game, like, oh, hey, look, Stormy, they're there, right? They're there.
Yeah.
You just keep repeating their name. They're still in this fight. And that's what their ride was in day one. And they're still keeping up that same set of pace here. Right now, they're looking at 5th place. And with 4th place already down, they can move up the board even more.
I'll tell you why this trio doesn't get love. They're endgame mannequins. They don't do anything when they're alive. They don't get any elims. Usually when Kiriachi 2s are playing around, they survive. They make very smart rotations, maybe getting 1, 2, or 4 elims a game. The thing, though, I feel like, you know, this might be a situation where mannequins come to life. Last game, 9 eliminations, 4th place. They're definitely switching things up. Their win condition today is eliminations. They're playing the right type of Fortnite game. They need to play the other side of it, though, and actually have an impact in their zones and lobby. And Nos is by himself too, walking around right now. But yeah, Kiriachi needs elims. They're doing it off the start of the day. Need to make sure they keep it up.
Mannequins Coming Alive is totally an 80s movie reference right then and there. And now we have no O'Reilly Reason and Vidil. It's so interesting, though. I thought this trio would be able to push out to the coast. I thought they would go back into being more aggressive, being more that ruthless trio, you know, taking out those legions of players. But I don't know who is this team? Like, I want to know who is this team.
I'll tell you what I was talking about emotions before, right? These guys feel really good and they're happy when they're pushing teams and it works out. When that doesn't happen, you start to get negative emotions associated with that push, right? Now today, they're playing patience and they're getting points. You get points, you're happy. They're just riding those emotions, and now the patience is coming naturally. So very emotional team. What they're doing is making them very, very happy. They know it's working. They're getting points. They're going to keep doing it.
They're going to the gym. You know, this is like their 2nd week. They're seeing the abs kind of pop out a little bit. They're like, okay, maybe I'll stick with this new lifestyle. And at the same time, I'll stick with this diet. But these guys, they love to eat. And right now they're just holding on. You know, they're just, hey, they're calorie deficient. They're making sure they're leaning out, because when they get lean, they are dangerous and they are mean.
Other side of it, we're watching it. Way's actually in the distance. They also like fighting a lot, but the patience sometimes comes at an offbeat, like a weird time. Sometimes too patient when they should be aggressive. They're still learning that type of game, and they're actually very similar, I would say, to Vidil and O'Reilly and Reason when it comes to, you know, approaching mid and end game. But we'll see. They're kind of in the same spot. Maybe they can also bring it up. 7th place, rolling into. They're looking really good throughout the day. The aggression hasn't been turned on completely, but you know, they're very consistent at just making games. 2/3 back-to-back from Nebs, Bubak, and Waze rolling through actually gets them all the way into the top 10. If they can get another third, I mean, lucky number 3 for this trio. They're looking real good. Meanwhile, 4-0 Nate, Tayson, I mean, there's so much to talk about with these guys. Top 3 right now. You know, lots of doubts in the preseason, lots of doubts while we were watching them from qualifiers to heats. They fixed everything. And once again, they're surviving. I have their win condition just kind of written down, as we talked about it last game a little bit as well, Sancho, for the tournament. They need to start owning these games, making it their own. What are the names we've been talking about in the last few games? We said Trulix a lot. We said Savage. We're talking about Hen. It feels like, once again, 4-0, Tayson, and Nate are paint on the wall. Definitely there, but they're not the talk of the town so far. They need to be that way. They need to make these flashy plays if they want to win this tournament.
They can do it. 22 elims in the heat stage.
Yeah,
it's in there. It's in there. It's in there. Mappy, Red Rush, Asterios, not kind of having the same success that they had in the previous day. Slowly slipping out of the top 3. Right now coming in 8th, Shio. It's just right now their style is about playing center. So they're coming out of the Cami split. Now Andreas, Savage, and Rescard now back in full force. They were able to get the reboot card and bring them back to trio mate. So that's looking good. It's slowing down though. So they may not have strong weapons, or they may not have all the mats and resources. So expect this trio to be a little bit more aggressive. Marine is now sending in the Sting Post to open up their rotation to slow down the peak. And so what you gotta do, man, you gotta send in those stink bows just to open up a little bit. That's gonna give the signal for Refsguard and Jordan Savage to rotate through to Lazy Lake, which has been a battleground in this tournament.
These guys have to have extra health or something. They survive so many crazy situations. Refsguard going down off spawn. They have to travel to get the reboot. They do it in enough time and then have a chance to actually have some type of loadout. You're right, Sancho, it's kind of weak, but what does this mean for Refsguard being rebooted? This trio allowed to play this game. They're in first, Sancho, right? Yes. Them alive, full forces. This means Queasy, Trulex, and Jerky, they have a tough time, you know, kind of taking hold of this game. They're on screen right now, too. This is perfect. You know, they're going to have a tough time kind of taking over first if that team's alive. Same thing for 4-0, Nate, and Tayson. They'll have a tough time if Savage is alive. It might even look like Trulex, Queasy, and Jerky might not stay this way the entire game. Snazy's here. This is Southside. Enderlex is home. It's been invaded by multiple teams, and now they're looking to just fight one off for the moment. I'm not sure how far this fight will go, but you never know right now. These things are still being thrown in.
This is a wrestling match that's getting sweaty and is getting dirty right now between the old guard and the new. This Trulex's trio is a newly formed right now. Trulex, of course, playing last season with Pink and Stormy, or I believe it was Stompy. They had a fantastic run. Trulex arming that RPG. Jerky and Queasy, of course, forming with their respective trios here. Queasy playing with Rasco and Paco. And wow, I mean, for them to be able to hold on right now, look at this. There's a 3-trio kind of standoff right now with Fast Roxy, Ardent, and Pizza coming from Misty. And then you have this team from Camp Cod. You know, Snaze's trio, they're going to want this fight because they're low on Storm Surge. Because you come from Camp Cod, you know this is your opportunity to get those tags in.
Wow, Queasy's still finding a way in these bases with two teams around them. Shoot off on another way far away on a hill. That's crazy. That's huge for the tags as well. And man, I wish Ardent, Pizza, and Fast Roki had a theme song. It feels like every time there's a third party coming through, these guys roll in with a jingle and they're the ones to cause chaos every single time, whether it's at Lazy Lake, now it's down below at Camp Cod. I always have some type of song playing in my head when I see Fast Roki on screen. They just make things crazy.
It's basically, that's a third party, right? That is what they're, that's a third party. So that right now is just being so aggressive all over the place, and Lazy Lake is where they like to push on through. So they're seeing some opportunities to get some tags here on the Storm line edge. Red Rush in center. Zone is pushing them a little bit further. This is very going to be interesting in-game style if it goes down to Misty Meadows Lake. We see Zako's trio already setting up an opportunity here. We've seen when it was here in Lazy Lake yesterday, Jules was able to hold on to height there in game 4, but there was 3 different height retakes and they lost it. And Pizza is actually getting gobbled right now. Down he goes. Wolfies is getting eliminated. Elo Cracks again eliminating the feed. Now this engagement is opening up just a little bit more, just like Pistachio Nut just opens up a little bit more. Before you know it, they're going to be able to gobble that up and get some confirmation and some 2 Elim points.
Yeah, Fast Roki down. The third party trio not going to be able to operate today. For this game, the one trio to watch has to be Red Rushes. They ended up coming second all the way on low ground, played it really well. They're kind of the kings of navigating Lazy Lake, but what it looks like right now is they're actually under Surge. This is going to be a very crucial pump shot map. He has to hit. Surge actually goes away. You can back up, my friend. No! At the last second, Surge stopped 70 players. Mappy overstepped. The trio that clutched out this zone yesterday is going to be one man down. Mappy is also most consistent in terms of surviving and being able to support his teammates too. He's not going to be there. This is looking tough on day number 2 for Red Rush.
And that was a big refresher elimination right there for Andretta's trio, knowing that they had a reboot teammate. Now they could take his loot, Mappy's loot, and be able to move on through right now. That was always a question mark for Red Rush. If you're going to play center, you're going to have to hit your tags. You're going to have to find people in your rotations, because if not, Storm Surge will be knocking on your door to collect that build.
This is actually tough, I feel like, for Savage and Jenner and Refsguard. They like wide open low ground that doesn't really switch layers. Their lifeline for this entire tournament and their playstyle is low ground. If they don't have a consistent low ground type of terrain to play, they're going to be in trouble for games. Lazy, I feel like it's kind of like that with all the builds, the buildings, and the fact that it can go to the mountains and the river. They might be looking to play a little bit more mid. They're kind of trying to take it over from Red Rush, it looks like right now. And they know they're, at a man advantage, 3 versus 2, but no. They're going to sit up. They're going to build up. They know that low ground might be a little bit tough. Actually, still trying to hunt down Red Rush and Exterios. Not going to find it just yet. But yeah, for this zone, they're going to have to switch up their play style. They're going to be aliens in terms of how they're playing. Very used, though, to being height. They're going to be in situations, not bad players in other spots. And there it is. The Red Rush elimination comes in. Going to have so many more materials as well to work with. Once again, though, It will be a very different game plan we see this game.
The game plan will all determine where Zone 4 goes. Zone 4 is really close to them. They could work through these kind of natural buildings, the ones that are set here, and find their way in. Now we're looking at Tayson, Nate, and ForZR, who's made their way in from sweaty stands here on a very dead side rotation, considering that Misty Meadows trios have already rotated through. We already saw Pizza way down there, and it pushes south. So Andres trio has some work to do. There's a couple of trios along their way, but Tayson's, ForZR, and Nate don't have to do any work. But Shayo, look at how much of the aquatic lake is eating up Zone 4, and we already seen when it comes to the FNCS wow. I cannot wait where this in-game goes. I mean, I'm trying to think what happened last season. There was Staten Island's reference that I remember. There was so much zaniness going down. It was
too crazy last season. And for ForZR's true, it already looks like they have water in their lungs before they dive into the lake. They're down on HP. They're looking bad, pretty much like Waze right now on HP too. Has to dive into some minis and not a flop or a med kit, it's fine. But yeah, for a lot of trios, they have to be very careful at how much damage they're taking getting to the zone. Sancho is absolutely correct. Once you're here, it's gonna take you double the build to be able to survive. You have to build on the floor. And then every single opening there's gonna be even more eyes looking at you. There's no buildings, no terrain in the way.
So that will say, Queasy's trio, known to take height. If they could take it here in this in-game, that is a really strong probability for them to walk away with the Victory Royale and catch up to Resguard, Andretta, and Savage.
That's all it is right now. People trying to catch up to Savage, but Savage has to go down alongside Andretta and Resguard for that to happen. No O'Reilly, Vidil, and Reason. Mid-ground this time, I don't think Reason wants to get headshot, bow sniped again. They're looking to play defense and make sure all three are alive. They're so good when they're a trio. Looking at the waterfalls on the right, they're on a higher layer. It's tough for them to do their classic box-to-box beam, but they'll find a way. Bat Sniper on the receiving end. They're going to be really cornered down here. Esti, this is their home turf. Sancho, they were born in Lazy Lake, and right now they're getting molded by Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason.
Yeah, it looks like all the tourists from Lazy Lake are coming in and kind of changing the neighborhood that they're known to. You know, if you're like, the neighborhood was never the same. Everything's different now. I wish it was back in the old days. But those old days, everything's been upgraded and everything's been infiltrated by all the people that are moving on through and Waze right now. 22 below has some work to do to be able to survive right now. Nebs, Bubak, and Waze have been doing a fantastic time of being in the middle of the pack at in-game, just getting there, but barely one above. And so many people have to go down. 14, 13 people now, and now they're dipping into the rest of the hard mats. They're on the rope, Shayo, and they have Gray on their layer.
Still have a chance to punch back and fight. Wade's looking for any shots left and right. Neb's actually going down on the backside. Bubak will have to try to make amends for it, but Zone's coming in, so they actually can't even get to the loot or the body. Wade's looking on the right side. Wolfie's looking down bad on the bill. Switches to wood, back to metal. Wolfie's trying to go for it, and Andretta might have been knocked. Queasy also down to the Zaiku. Everything is turning on its head. And it's not even rotating yet. It's not even closing in half and half. Hey, did these guys even reload? What is the mag size for Waze and Bubak? The shots are not stopping. Slender down. Wolfie's low HP. They picked up another jam sites here now. The edge of the zone is just catastrophic for any team down below. Waze and Bubak are not holding anything back.
All the teams that were on that struggle southern rotation are now breathing a sigh of relief. And Reason O'Reilly, thank you, get up there and show that Bloomy's now being taken over. That is a huge play. And Noah O'Reilly and Reason are back up into the sky, and they are soaring. They may be soaring to the top of the leaderboard here after this match. That was a big, just an alpha ramp right out to and Bloomy's trio. I've been there before. I know what it feels like to be ramped up to. It's a scary sight, especially when you have Noah, Reason, and the deal going up to your door.
Man, I was about to talk about it in a second when we went back to Bloomy, but I was going to say they have had height in other games. Their weakness is literally God ramps. There's been multiple games. I think it was Trulex who God read them yesterday. They're on height. They get bow sniped or something. This time, Reason, Noah Riley, and Vidil. I think they understood height wasn't being that active. Bloomy, a little bit new to looking at how to actually play it. And boom, they're up there. It looks good. 4-0 Nate and Tayson, though, once again, lost at sea. This is just so bad. They're the only trio all the way on the backside, too. What a horrible situation for them to be in so far. So close to the top of the leaderboard, too. Can't go down here. Nate trying to clutch it up. 6 HP. Looks like it's the 9th zone for him right now, but the moving zones haven't even started. Every team is shooting at him. I count at least 15 ARs. Somehow he still finds a little bit of levity in the situation, a little bit of peace. He'll survive for a bit, but he's on borrowed time.
Nate is gonna have to turn into a Houdini to survive that max pull, because he's gonna have to go through the entire lobby. We'll keep an eye on the feed, but now all eyes are going back to our first place team of Refsguard, Andretta, and Savage. Zone thankfully pulls their way. Nate gets taken out by Jerky there, so that run is over. The Magician could not get out of that trap. Now, Refsguard, Andretta, Savage, just focus in here. Let's tell you the gravity of the situation here. Throughout the entire time, they've been getting as many placements here, getting just enough elims just to be able to stay ahead of the push from Queasy, to stay ahead from Hen and Tayson. Now Tayson's gone. Now Hen is gone. They just have to avoid Queasy here. And look at how much damage Noah Riley and the Deal and Reason are. Over 1,000. Now this is where they traditionally are in the early game, but now they're doing it at the end game.
And this is one of the easiest zones to maintain height. So many top buildings, so many old builds to connect to. Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason have a huge chart they can operate off of. No one should be able to really take it down. They could get snuck on from the back in these earlier zones. If they make it to zone 8, I feel like they can't be stopped. Meanwhile, though, on low, Stormy right above Savage. Snazy also moving in. Floki rolling through. Forzier gone and Hen is gone. That's 3rd and 4th place down. There's a lot of room for people to move up.
Second place.
Jerky can't. Second place is on a lifeline right now. One last teammate left alive. Height is just punishing everyone. Trulex, you have to stay alive for this placement, my friend. Your tournament run might be at stake over here on the 3rd game of the 2nd day. He's looking to see what he does next. Zone actually does pull away. It's all of the Trulex to hold on to spot number 2 right now. He's not gonna be able to get the revive. Meanwhile, Vidil's still popping all the way up top on height. Joe Shadow moving down below. Refsguard and Savage is still ahead of zone.
Ahead of zone and looking healthy. That's exactly where the position that there would be. Every time they find success at in-game, they're right then and there. And look at it. All the pressure's going down right now from Noah Riley and Vidil and Reason here. Trulex is on the backside. Trulex has to hold on. Trulex is in 2nd place without any kind of HP to med back up to full health here. But now all eyes are on this new form trio. It feels like they're just changed their ways, being patient. Let's go back into the great. The Deal and Reason now on height. Savage and Dread and Refsguard working through those buildings like you pointed out here, just giving them a little bit more time, a little bit more placement points, and now we're in the top 10.
And this is where low ground kind of gets tricky. Cars in the way, buildings you can't really break through in time either.
No builds.
Savage, no builds, nothing to really reform in terms of trees. They split up a little bit of mats. Minis also dropped down. It's looking like a 3v3 between Refsguard and Dreda Savage. Reason, Noah Riley, Vidil at the very end, but they still have to survive. Thomas HD alive as a solo all the way on the backside. Enderlex actually going down from up top. The server's getting squeezed right now. And Dreda, Refsguard, Savage are waiting, and boom!
This is big.
Big shots coming through. Shadow, Joe, and Stompy kind of stuck on the left corner. Savage, though, is caught out. He was too far, and he goes down. It's up to Andretta and Refsguard to carry that torch to first place all the way. Meanwhile, Zyku taking that storm right from the backside. Low ground is a maze, a labyrinth, and you can't just hug the right wall. There's no solution to this. You have to react to everything going on in front of you. Noah Riley is getting close and personal, dropping for height, looking for box-to-box fights. Shakeoffs going down. They still have mass to survive.
The Deal, Noah Riley are the dogs, are sending down there to get some big bites on the low ground. They're going up for some air, and they're diving back into the mess that's on this low ground. Opportunity here for another victory royale. Stompy gets bopped. Here we go. This is it right here, Shio. It's a top 4 situation, and I'm just taking a look, and I believe Andretta is still holding on. This is going to be a big game for them, but if Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason could get some eliminations and the victory royale, they're going to be able to get into that top 3.
A slow burning game going to max brightness. Noah Riley, Vidil, and Reason are all still alive. 3 different teams left, 8 players, and they have 3. A majority of the pie so far. They're looking to drop down in just a bit, but there's a big retake coming through. Is that Fury randomly going for height? You can't do this against the best aggro team. They're looking to take him down, but no. Vidil gets clapped. Reason gets also completely brapped, but there it is. Fury gets taken down. Now Noah Riley is dropping to the floor. It looks like, yes, there is one team down below, and Dreda still surviving as a duo 2v2. We got another matchup to watch in just a sec. The zone's actually pulling up towards the hill. Noah Riley in advantage, but he's getting prepped to dive below. Taking a big breath of big shields before he hits that water. He goes straight down. No, not yet. Stink Bolts from Andretta. They have the Elim. Siphon comes through. Yes. Reason's up top with a med kit. Refsguard has the last tick of the zone. Reason eating the meat right now too. He's going straight for that drop down. It's not going to be enough for the heals to survive. Reason, Badil, Noah Riley. Textbook game. That was absolutely crazy to watch.
Was that 10 elims, 17 total for that trio? Was that and the victory royale? I
Yeah.
thought that was going to be a top 3. They're going to the moon. They're going to the moon.
No, they're
Kyle,
going
what
to
great
a different
performance.
galaxy.
Yeah,
They're going to a
all the way
different.
up. They're
We
going
don't know
up.
where they're going, man. Yo, see, Levin Reese, give us an astronomical chart. Where's this trio going, real
Where
man?
they going?
Show me the desk. Show me the desk.
Bro, we're full warp, dude. We're going to a different galaxy, a different time zone, a different timeline. It is just not even in the same realm any longer. And by the way, boys, Video's trio, that's a new elimination record. That's right. We're seeing action like you would not believe, Reese and Levin. I just cannot understand how these games just don't stop. It is just constant action, constant blows going back and forth. I don't know if my little baby heart can take it.
I don't think my big boy heart can take it. Like, this was an incredible game from these guys. Record breaking actually for FNCS finals overall. 17 eliminations, the most amount of points in history so far. This is something that we do not see often. And we've called this yesterday and today, saying that these guys are going to pop off with a 10, 15, 20 elimination game. Insane.
Look, last season, they looked like they were going to take the FNCS championship going into that final game, and things didn't go their way. But now they are back with vengeance. They had the highest point game of yesterday. They have the highest point game of not just today, but ever in an FNCS finals. Like, this is ridiculous stuff. These guys are going to shoot all the way up the standings. They came into this game in 10th. We'll see where they are when we get to it. But a phenomenal game from these guys.
And it's a very different game, right? When you can dethrone that #1 team going into the game. I mean, without Hen, Janice, and Chapix, I feel like everyone else just had breathing room, right? They were just allowed to operate without this like pressure, Levin.
Yeah, 100% right. Hen, Janice, and Chapix went down early, and we'll get to show it to you, right? Because the key thing for this team was the fact that coming into today, right, or coming into yesterday, people were scared about this team here, High Chris Vortex, who are landing on them. And people said, if these guys can't sort of get rid of them off spawn, there's going to be big problems. But you'll see here, off spawn, moments before disaster. Screenshot this, right? We all know this feeling. You're gliding in, you see your enemy has picked up a weapon, and you're still gliding in. There's no hope for you there, right? And although Chapix eventually is able to pick up a weapon, at that point you could argue it's almost too late, because you can see High Chris there is able to go and do significant damage to his teammates. Similar thing here for Janice. Janice here, he lands in this building, he thinks to the chest, oh, I'm fine and dandy. No, you have Vortex here, he has a primal shotgun, and he gets Janice down to 31 HP. What can Janice do at that point? He's so low that it's just going to be incredibly difficult for him. And the big thing is, Reese, is like, this was the question we all had. Off spawn, what happens for this trio, right? Yesterday, they were able to avoid it a lot of the time, but if they're just 50-50, we know what Fortnite is sometimes. Fortnite, sometimes you land, you don't get the weapons you need, and you will just go down like this. If this continues to happen, they're not going to be able to back-to-back.
Yeah, and this is going to be tough. You know, we did see them lose a single game yesterday, so this could be their one today, and if it's only one, that's fine. But they can't keep doing this at all. They can't keep losing the games off spawn like this. And that is, like you said, the issue of a 50-50 play early on. You can see Hen eventually being picked up, and that is the end of it for them. So you can see that they have actually ended up moving down the leaderboard, down until 7th. That's where they are right now, so they're going to have to play a little bit of a catch-up game coming up forward. But some of these teams have been popping off. Rescard and Andrea Savage still holding on.
They stay above,
strong.
Dude,
I know.
they stay on top. It's so silly. Like, every single game, we see some ridiculous stuff happen, and yet they remain first place every single time. Phenomenal stuff for them. But look, Noah Riley, Reason, Vidil sitting in 4th place. They were 10th last time. That game, 3 victorials so far, the most of any other team. Like, this is insane from these guys.
Yeah, it was disappointing that they had so many not so great games yesterday. Like, after their big victory royale, they really had the other 5 games that just weren't really anything. So today they are playing serious catch-up, but already with 3 games left, being 4th, if they keep playing the way that they're playing today, this is going to be an incredible finish.
I just feel like Sancho West, like, his prediction is just kind of echoing my mind. I just remember back before the final started, Sancho was like, guys, you know what? Calling in now, Savage's trio, game 12, they're going to clutch it up for the whole champion. No, apparently Sancho was just like, what he meant to say was they're going to clutch up every game at all the times, at all the points in the competition. My goodness, this is insane. This is absolutely insane. Fortnite fam, we hope you're enjoying all of the action. That's 3 games down. We only have 3 games to go. Now I know what you're thinking, Zeke. Let's get back aboard the battle bus. You're right. in just a little bit. I know, but listen, you're not gonna miss a single thing. We're gonna start game number 4, aka game number 10 across the whole competition during the break. So you're not gonna miss a single thing. When that timer hits 0, Shaw Wager, SunChoice, they'll be there. They'll pick it up and we'll keep the ball rolling. So go quickly, find water, come back, and we'll keep this going here from the FNCS in Europe. See you guys in just a second.
Welcome back to the European FNCS Finals. It's day number 2. We're on game number 10 of 12, and our previous FNCS champions on your screen right now, Hen, Janice, Chapix, finally allowed to play this game. They've been contesting off spawn 24/7, all 10 games. They've lost 2 so far. The last one we just watched, but this time, if you're watching during the break, that fight ended in what, 3 seconds, Sancho?
And more importantly, they've been chilling in their lobbies respectively for about 25 minutes or so. So we all know that game of time to kind of chill out for a little bit, reset. We've been saying countless times, when they get out of Craig Eclipse, they have the potential to win it all with a victory royale and double-digit eliminations. So now we're getting into it. We have 3 games left here of the FNCS EU before we crown either a defending champion or we crown a 3-time champion in Tayson, Nate, and Tayson's going to be that one right there. But the whole thing about this right now is, what kind of games going forward do these trios need? And Jonah Resguard and Savage, they don't need anything special. They just got to hold on, keep getting to end game, trust the process. That's all they have to do. Now, for people like Badil, Noah Riley, and Reason, who have been on a terror, making their way up, they just have to now slow down just a little bit more. I just don't know. I can't get a pulse on that team. It's like a team I've never seen before, you know?
They have 3 VRs, and today we're watching them, and I feel like we're kind of getting tricked. Their entire game plan has been good, but they've gone down at 27th place. They've gone down at 16th place as well. They're a very flip-floppy team. Every time they win, Sancho, the next game, they don't get that many points. So we just saw them win another game, right? Game number 9 rolling in. And now for game 10, if the pattern continues, they're going to be looking at a game with no points again. They have to break this curse if they want to make it all the way up top on the scene. Trulux, Squeezy, and Jerky 2 have been attempting to be curse breakers today. On day number 1, in the first 6 games, they had so many good positions on height. They ended up getting taken over. It was tough. It was rough for them overall. Today now, they're in 2nd place. They're right behind this trio on your screen, Savage, Andretta, and Refsguard. They've had a great day of games so far, but they've also been a little bit flip-floppy. They have a win, 17th place. It's looking kind of weird. Everyone right now, this game matters so much. They have to be very consistent.
What's on the line is life-changing money. Hundreds and thousands of dollars for every single trio that we saw here are playing with that on their top of their minds. Every moment matters for them. Every build, every call out, every engagement's going to matter for them in these next 3 games. I can't imagine feeling the pressure. The only thing I've had that's close was playing in a local video game store. That's it. And my prize was a $20 gift card. So hey, that was the top of my prime, and I can't imagine playing for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That 1.3 million total dollar prize pool when it comes to Europe. $300,000 for the trio who's rolling in first place. Squeezy, Trulex, and Jerky could be that trio, but once again, they cannot afford to make any mistakes from here on out. Those last 3 games, they kind of shape exactly how your entire tournament run looks. If you're behind, you have a big chance to get ahead. If you're ahead, you have to play defense. And these guys are caught in between, Sancho. They're ahead of the rest of the lobby, but behind Titans, they can't seem to shake down completely in these games. These rotations have to be perfect, and the end game has to be crisp.
And they absolutely earned their spot. They're going against the Andalexes of the world. They're going up against the up-and-comers in Jules right now, getting tagged on their rotation. So they're clawing their way, trying to hold on and avoid anybody that's trying to pull them down and slip them. Now we're talking about movement. Badil, Noah Riley, and Reason, 6 places they moved up. They've had 2 back-to-back games that have moved them up their leaderboard, and look at their strategy. They've just totally changed. And you know, this kind of reminds me of, you know, at Rose where we're watching like Unknown, and where all the question was what would Unknown look like in in-game? If Unknown down there in the NA, what will he do if he just slow down, be patient, that chaotic energy, that be able to box fight anybody? He was doing some things in the past that were just phenomenal. The same thing like as well, like Face Sway, right? What would Sway look like if you kind of got to in-game? Well, we're seeing right here a game that they just flip-flop everything, the script. They were getting like these 10 elim games, right? When in the early game. Now they're getting those 10 elim games at in-game, and they're getting those bonus placement points. That's why they're moving up the board so fast and ferociously.
For Vadil, Noah Riley, it only really is wins that are keeping them in this game. If they're not winning, they're having very, very, I would just say, middling performances throughout. It's like 11th or 17th rolling in throughout the day. It's not looking too good when you look at their team if they don't win games.
And to talk about it and put it in EU respect, like it's like, what will Wolfies look like in in-game? What would CRR look like in game? You know, what are those aggressive known players? What will they look like in in-game? And we're getting a taste of it. And we're just seeing that if you go do your homework, VOD review, they kind of tweeted out, we figured out a plan, and they're executing that plan so beautifully right here.
We're joining in slightly late also onto this game number 10, the fourth one of the day. So a lot of people have already moved off of their spots. They're rotating and the zone's coming in fast. I was thinking to myself, wait a minute, Forza Art and Lazy Lake, and we just started casting? No, this is all the way in a mid-game rotation, and their tags are looking a little bit low, but this is where they actually end up doing the damage. This is going to be a very good spot, but it's going to be shared alongside Fusion and Nexus down below. They love knocking on your walls, and then up top you have Scram, Putrick. We're desperate right now, looking for more points, looking for a way to get back into the competition.
We're talking about what does a trio need to come back. Thomas HC, Flick, and Anas have to have that pop-off game. They've been denied 2 times in this FNCS tournament. 2 times their signature pop-off game, holding on height, losing it at the very last moment. We saw the misplay by Thomas HC with the med kit here. Now, Reason, Noah Riley, the deal in trouble right now. Things are going to do. This trio that they're facing is no slouch. They've been taking out big names throughout the past 2 days. And if they add Noah Riley, Reason, and Badil, which they have done in day 1, that's going to be the big blockade, slowing them down from making their movement. This is the 4th place team right now battling. I'm taking a look at the board. They're facing the 9th place team.
This is just so scary from all angles. Multiple Knights on the low ground. They're so tough. No chance on any walls to kind of escape. There's a trio on all sides. Siptos on one, Anas firing away from the backside all the way up top on a hill 2. Neves Bubak on ways, as you mentioned, Sancho, not stopping the pressure. No Riley, Reason, and Vidil, they might just drop down to patterns. They won the last game. They might be going out early in this one.
This happened in game 2. Last time they got pinched, they were attacking Hen, and then all of a sudden, Floki's trio pinched them and wounded them, and they went down to a duo. So if they could solve what they did, the mistakes that they did last time, they could be able to keep pushing up their leaderboard. They did that by switching up a layer to staying away from that crazy low ground that's happening right there. But it's still, we have to keep an eye on them. That's what happened yesterday. All of a sudden, they just getting knocked down to a duo on that transition between early to mid game.
And now we see Anas, Flick, Thomas, Hen, Janice, and Chapix on the same hill. Noel Riley, Vidil right beside them as well. The top 3 from your last FNCS making a similar type rotation. It looks very similar to game 6 of last season as well. So slightly, you know, the zone that's kind of central going towards the south. It could pull up the Steamy, who knows? But Anas, Flick, Thomas, we were talking about them a little bit before as well, Sancho, when we were looking at, you know, how are things looking for them overall in these 12 games. Last season, after 9 games, they were looking a little bit worrisome as well. 4th place overall. They needed to come up and they got 2nd. They're now in 6th. They're looking for that climb up as well. We'll see if it's possible. Meanwhile, the big pressure from Bubak is too much to handle for Noah Riley, Reason, and Vidil. They go down once again, and it feels like the pattern will be true for this team. It's always a win followed by an early knockout. Noah Riley is still once again hanging on the ropes. You can try to see if he survives and plays for a little bit of placement, but they're kind of deep in this game. Reboots are very difficult to kind of take away when you're so close to so many trios. It should be wrap-ups for that squad.
If there's a solo that you want in that trio, is Reason. Reason finished 7th place in Chapter 2, Season 3. So that is going to be interesting to see what Noah Riley can do as a solo. But Anas, Flick, and Thomas HD, who have a great day 2, have yet to have that. They're doing okay, but not by their standards. And now you're seeing in the feed Blasters, who just finally survived, save it down there in Weeping Woods, not make it into the middle game right there. But Ryan, Lanouf now have to deal with 2 of the Titans of the region ramping right over them, and they're not moving. They don't want any piece of this pie, but oh no! Chapix and Flick are colliding right here, and Chapix gets knocked. That's Hen. They're trying to move up the board, but Thomas HC is trying to catch them from their ankles so they can't climb any higher.
6th versus 7th. They're really, literally clawing at their ankles right now. Anas, Flick, Thomas HD, making sure there's no chance that they get any higher. They're going to keep moving forward, and this is going to be such a tricky rotation, Sancho. We've been looking at wide shots of this entire zone. There's so many trios that key angles and locations. There's nowhere to really stop. Flick, Anas, Thomas HD have to keep going. They can't slow down.
And the ramification goes beyond just eliminations. Now that Janus is by himself, the solo champion here has to hold on as much as possible. I was going to say Chapix is that in-game leader. He kind of puts Hen close to him, but now Janus is feeling the lobby pressure, and it's just too much. Nas, Thomas HD, take him out.
They got the Elim. My question is, if they stolen the energy too, there's always one type of pop-off game that comes through with Nas, Thomas HD, and it usually happens when a top team goes down as well. This could be that game. We're on their kind of home territory on the right side of the map. We'll see if it's possible, but there's so many different trios, shoulder to shoulder, side by side. Savage, Repsguard, and Dredda are kind of gatekeepers here too. That Stinkbow, Sancho, you were talking about it. It's rolling through.
Noah Riley gets an elimination, so Noah Riley is still on his feet, adding valuable points to the board here, especially now that we're seeing the top of the board a little bit in shambles right now at the moment. So Flick, Thomas AC, and Nas, you're right. They're in their home turf here. We all know when there's a game on the line and you are the home team, there's just a little bit more pressure considering that the zone sometimes won't favor you. And I think for the longest time, this is the first time we've seen an East Coast zone in this FNCS EU tournament.
That's very, very tough. Last time we were watching yesterday when game 4 rolled in, it was Lazy Lake we were looking at. This time it's going to be Dirty Docks kind of, or at least the mountain where the grotto used to be. Savage and Jenna Refsguard trying to take away the life raft that was basically thrown to Anas, Thomas HD, and Flick, trying to get them out of the top 10. They're saying, no, I'm going to deflate it. There's no way we're letting you sit in this base rent-free. You're going to have to pay a little bit of tolls with your HP pools. And yeah, those things really bled through these builds. You can see Anas's HP, it's still slightly low. Thomas was on at 40 at the top of medkit to get all the way back up. They have to make this rotation now too. All that healing lost them a lot of time, and now every single trio is looking at them. But because they move first, and now these guys are moving late, they have a lot of different builds to kind of block the sight lines. They can just reuse them over, save on their mats as well. This is a pretty good angle as long as they don't get shot.
And along their way of this rotation here, very treacherous. You see Savage right there in the distance. We've been seeing Savage just rain down those stink bows, getting those valuable Storm Surge tags that way. Triple, Elocrass right in the distance here. Shakos and Gray close to height, but I'm just guessing EMXR is at height actually with Podosite. Very, very cool to see them again.
Whoa.
Welcome to the tournament. Now you see Jerky Trulix as well at height as well.
And if you look over at height for just a second too, that split is absolutely insane. You have, I think, MXR on one of the mountain peaks.
Yes.
And then Podosite and Walnuts on the very other one too, so they have so much control.
Chat. I like to say this is legit like one of the best things I've ever seen. This thing legit takes a whole hour. This thing takes... No, it's already been an hour and 16 minutes, this FNCS. So it's so long. Chat, I think I'm going to end it here because my live stream has already been an hour. I hope you guys liked a little clip, a little broadcast of the FNCS. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to catch me on to the next stream tomorrow. I'll see you later. Subscribe, comment, drop a like if you want to. Doing the face reveal at 1K subscribers, so please get me to that point. If you guys want to see my face, you guys already know my voice, so it's fine. And then I will do a house reveal at 1 mil. No, at 500k. Okay, so at 1k, I'm doing a face reveal. If you guys get me to 500k, I'll do a house reveal. And when you get me to 1 million, I'll do a house and address reveal. You get me to 1 million.
It's gonna be tricky.
Alright guys, so you guys want to find out where I live?
Everything's gonna be low.
You can get me to 1 million subscribers.
You're gonna run out of builds. If you're on low ground, you're gonna run out of
builds. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the broadcast here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment so I can give away some safe world weapons. I still haven't been receiving comments from the last giveaway I made, so I'm waiting for your comments. Alright guys, see you later. Peace out.